Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about everyone's second favorite class. That is CVs. Second to what? Well, of course, submarines. Everyone's favorite new class in the game. In particular, in this video, we are going to be discussing some of the advantages or differences, shall we say, between certain mechanics surrounding the CVs versus the rest of surface ships. Now, CVs, of course, there's of course a huge caveat with these differences or advantages, depending upon how you look at it, between surface ships and CVs, right? CVs, of course, have a completely different gameplay style. They are, going about the map, flying planes, directly controlling planes, while their ship is mostly on autopilot in most cases, which means their attention is, of course, with their planes, not necessarily with the ship itself. This is, of course, a huge difference in play between, surface ships and CVs. Even a bigger difference, I would argue, between submarines and surface ships. Because with submarines, you're still controlling the sub. Submarines are basically DDs that can go underwater for, 3 or 4 minutes, depending upon the tier, right? So it's a pretty big difference. So needless to say, there is going to be some difference in mechanics, right, between them and surface ships. But when you really sit back and look at the differences, it's kind of like, is this even still fair in today's World of Warships wargaming? So look, let's talk about that, shall we? So, some major differences and some major mechanical changes between CVs and surface ships, and two that I think most certainly need to be looked at in today's World of Warships is, one, CVs still cannot detonate. Something I find outright weird in today's World of Warships. If you guys don't know, I believe with the CV update or shortly thereafter, the detonation mechanic was removed from CVs, meaning that mechanic that, if you're underneath, I think it's like 75% HP, and a shell hits your ship in the right spot, like the magazine, there is a chance that your ship can just detonate, and there you go, match is over for you. And that's meant to simulate, of course, the dangers of that happening in real life. That was a major, major threat to any surface ship, and it still is, of course, today, right? Looking at you, Mosfa. So CVs, which are, a floating airfield full of aviation fuel, torpedoes, bombs, rockets, there's, of course, zero chance that that could have actually happened in real life, right? So why did this get removed in-game? Now, unlike some other changes that we're going to talk about here in a second, this one really made the least amount of sense to me. Because, why? If the CV's spotted, yeah, he's going to get shot at, and there's a chance, of course, just like in real life, that something's going to get hit and the whole thing's going to go up. So, why do they get to enjoy this, well, basically not having to worry about, mounting debt flags like the rest of us, right? If anything, it's simply allowing them to make more profit by not having to run a debt flag like everybody else. Everyone else, if I don't want to randomly blow up in my battleship that's, really meant to be sitting there and taking, or my cruiser or my DD, I have to run a debt flag, and that, of course, costs credits now, right? Unless you have a stockpile of them saved up. But CVs that usually aren't even in the front lines, unless you're like a Graf Zeppelin, right? They don't. This really doesn't make any sense. And it's a pretty rare occurrence anyway. So, yeah, why? Is it just because it'd be really funny, to like shoot a CV at the start of the match and have them accidentally blow up? And yeah, I get that's a big tactical disadvantage to the enemy team if that does happen, but like, so is it if my Yami gets, hit by a shell at the beginning of the match and I'm just below 75% HP and my Yami blows up, right? Like, that sucks for the team. So why the special treatment there? And if it was just that, like, yeah, okay, you know, I could see if that was the only thing, but there's not. There's another big thing right now, and that is, well, the recent introduction of the automatic ASW to CVs. Now, again, this is a mechanic that at first it was like, oh, alright, they're at the back of the map, they're probably going to be flying their planes around, not really paying attention. But then it's like, hold up a second. Every other surface ship has to drop what they're doing to try and deal with a submarine when it pops up next to them. And, you know, especially if they're, you know, like a Yami or something sitting towards the back of the map, or if you just happen to be alone on the flank, and, like, you know, the rest of your team gets sunk, and now a lone submarine is hunting you and you're by yourself, right? You have to drop what you're doing to try and counter that submarine. You have to maneuver, you have to watch for his ping, or you have to watch and see where the torpedoes are coming from and drop your ASW charges, you know, appropriately. And you have to sit there and, like, you'll see, okay, did I hit him? Is he leaking oil? Where's the oil going? You have to do all that. And then, you know, of course, God forbid you have to do that in the middle of combat when, you know, you're a surface ship and you're trying to keep your shots on target, and you have to, you know, pop out real quick, see where the submarine's at, drop the ASW, go back into your gun side, you know, get the next round of shells off an enemy ship. Okay, did I hit the submarine? Yes, no. Is he leaking oil? Where's it going? You have to do all of that in the middle of combat. While CVs don't have to worry about that. It's completely automated for them. Because, yeah. So, with one of the most frustrating aspects about the game now, CVs just get an easy button. It was not even a button. They can't even, like, manually control it, right? And from what I've seen, too, it's pretty freaking good at guesstimating where the submarine's going to be at based upon the submarine's ping or the oil leak coming out of the submarine. So it's not like it's like the autopilot, which, okay, the autopilot, I'll give that to CVs. That might as well be a friggin' debuff half of the time, right? Like, the autopilot is still somehow garbage, right? So I'll give that to CV players, right? So, yeah, that's pretty good. And then on top of that, you have the automatic damage con that runs for friggin' 5 minutes, right? Like, it's an automatic damage con. It runs for 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, you just don't have any fires set on you, which I friggin' wish that, right? Like, that I had a 5-minute damage con on my battleship or my cruiser or my destroyer where no fires will be set, no flood's going to be set, and you can't get anything knocked out. Your engine, your rudder, nothing can get knocked out for the entire duration that's going. And that's also compounded by the fact that even if you do manage to set a fire on a CV, it burns for 5 minutes. Sorry, for 5 seconds. I wish it burned for 5 minutes. That'd be nice. It burns for 5 seconds. And that's it. Like, that's it. You get a fire on it, it burns for 5 seconds. Now, it has at a slightly higher damage per second rate than the standard fires that get set on other surface ships, but it's still 5 seconds, guys. Like, come on, really? And, again, you have an automatic damage con that runs for 5 minutes if you do get fire on you. So it's like, why do they have this teeny tiny fire burn time when they have a 5-minute damage con? Like, if you can't escape whatever is HE spamming you in those 5 minutes, I think you deserve getting a permafire on your ship for at least the full, 60-second burn time that battleships get, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense, in my opinion, at least. And I'm not even going to talk about, well, I'm going to mention here, the fact that, fires don't stop planes from taking off anymore, right? But it's just such a weird decision now. And if you look at all of this that's just stacked on top of each other, is it really fair that in this game, in 2024, when, DDs are overloaded with their tasks, other surface ships are having to adapt to dealing with submarines that are popping up in the middle of their engagement, they're having to multitask, right? CVs still only really have to focus on flying their planes and making sure their CV doesn't get caught out in the open. Everything else is automated. The damage con, ASW, all that's really important to the survival of every other surface ship, including submarines, is completely automated on CVs nowadays. Now, I do understand why a decent bit of this is automated because, again, you are flying your planes, you're on the other side of the map. But does it all have to be automated nowadays? It's not that hard to have, the damage con be binded to a key while you're flying your planes, right? Because, the game still lets you know that, hey, your CV's been spotted. Hey, you're on fire. You can still see that when you're flying your aircraft. So why is that still automated, right? I mean, you could easily just have that up on the toolbar when you're flying your planes around. I don't think it's going to really break immersion or anything if you have that option available to you. Or ASW, why do I, in a battleship who's shooting at someone, 20 kilometers away, I have to stop what I'm doing, I have to stop my damage output to sit there and try and drop ASW on the submarine, right? So, why do they get the automated one? Why don't they have to stop what they're doing and try and, see where the submarine's at in the meantime, right? I mean, like, ships were controlled by, of course, not a single omniscient entity. In World War II, crewmen would be doing multiple things at the same time. But in this game, if you are trying to shoot someone 20 kilometers away and a submarine pops up, you do have to stop what you're doing, see where the submarine's at, drop the ASW, maybe get your shot off then and see where the oil is going to pop up, and then try to follow it up with that. CVs, again, they don't have to worry about doing that. It's all just automated. I'm not saying all these automated systems should be taken away from CVs, but I think something like damage con could be given into the hands of the CV players, and just for a little bit of balance, right? Because again, like, DDs are overloaded doing all the DD things on top of trying to be good little ASW boats. Surface ships, cruisers, and battleships have to drop what they're doing to try and deal with the submarines. They don't have a 5-minute damage con that nullifies the submarine ping like CVs do. So it's all just a little like, leading me to think, is it really fair that all this is still automated for CVs? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a great CV player. I'm not saying it's a breeze to be a CV player. It's just a thought, right? And I mean, good God, when I was trying to get background footage for this, matchmaking hated me, and they kept stacking like a bunch of AA ships on the enemy team when I'm playing German CVs that the planes aren't that great in the first place, and they are long past their heyday, right? So I've been through the ringer here recently playing CVs to get background footage for you guys, but it's just a thought I had, and just a thought I wanted to share with you guys. So just let me know in the comments down below, how do you feel about that? I know a lot of you are gonna have some pretty strong feelings about this, but is it time for wargaming to maybe give damage con back into the hands of the humans playing the CVs, or maybe ASW, or some other way to balance them out, or at least let them detonate like historically they were very prone to do? I'm not saying give them like an 80% detonation chance or anything like that. Just make them run det flags like the rest of us have to do, right? It'd be nice, But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.